Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting for Tuesday, November the 1st, 2022. Ms. Hilbrick, will you please call roll?
Councilman De La Garza?
And present.
Councilwoman Solis?
Here.
Councilwoman Scott?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Young?
Here.
Councilman Lofgren?
Here.
Mayor Bauknight?
Here.
And Councilman Crocker will not be attending the meeting tonight.
All right. Thank you. If everyone will please rise for the Pledge of Allegiances, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. All right. Welcome again, everybody. We have announcements and reminders. Mr. Garza.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I've got a few updates for you today. I was joking with the mayor beforehand that at our last staff meeting, I challenged the executive team to send us more updates to talk about under this announcement section, and now we have a lot. But real quick, from our Convention Visitors Bureau, if you received the newsletter today, you saw that we launched the mobile version of the You'll Love Shopping Victoria. This is a promotion that aims to familiarize shoppers with the local shopping opportunities in Victoria. Participants who check in with their You'll Love Shopping Victoria mobile pass will be entered into a drawing for one of 5 gift bags filled with items from local retailers and restaurants. Each check-in counts as an entry into the contest, so visit all participating retailers for the best chance to win. New this year is the opportunity to earn a free You'll Love Shopping Victoria t-shirt. People love their t-shirts, so hopefully they get that. From our Parks Department, the Texas Youth Hunting Program Deer and Hog Hunt will take place in Riverside Park on November 21st through the 22nd. The park will be closed starting at 3 p.m. on November 21st and reopen the morning of November 23rd. For more information and to register for the program, please visit tyhp.org. On the economic development side and Main Street side, we also today launched the Main Street Building Improvement Grant Program, so those applications are now available. The big program is a one-to-one reimbursement grant match up to $50,000 for improvements to major systems such as HVAC, plumbing, elevators, etc. This grant will be awarded on a first-time, first-served basis, so we encourage folks to apply for that. Ashley, at the last meeting, mentioned the Citizens Academy applications, and so those are due November 16th. Interested residents can apply by visiting victoriatx.gov/Citizens Academy. And lastly, our police department is hosting a VIN etching event on Saturday, November 12th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Masonic Lodge number 40. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. We're going to go into public and employee recognitions, and I have one that's not on there that I want to start with. And I want to congratulate my friend, Judge Vanessa Heinhold. This is her 6-year work anniversary, and she's just done a fantastic job with the municipal court, and appreciate her staying with us.
Yep.
Thanks. All right, we'll do the A, B, and C first.
Item B2A is the Walk to End Alzheimer's Day proclamation. Whereas Alzheimer's disease has affected 6.2 million Americans of all ages in 2022, approximately 400,000 Texans are affected by Alzheimer's disease. Texas ranks 4th in the number of Alzheimer's disease cases and 2nd in the number of Alzheimer's disease deaths in the United States. And whereas Alzheimer's disease is an irreversible brain disease that slowly destroys memory skills, thinking skills, and eventually the ability to carry out daily activities, leading to the need for full-time care. Dementia is a general term for a group of brain disorders that cause problems with thinking, memory, and behavior. Alzheimer's disease is the most common type. And whereas Alzheimer's Association is the leading voluntary health organization in Alzheimer's care, support, and research, their mission is to eliminate Alzheimer's disease through the advancement of research, to provide care and enhanced support for all affected, and to reduce the risk of dementia through the promotion of brain health. Now, therefore, I, Jeff Bauknight, Mayor of the City of Victoria, Texas, do officially designate November 1st, 2022 to be Walk to End Alzheimer's Day in Victoria, Texas, and urge all citizens to recognize the contributions of the Alzheimer's Association in fighting against the disease.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Bettina Garza, and I am your walk manager here for the Golden Crescent. Thank you so much, Mayor and councilmen and women, for having us here. Thank you to my volunteers and sponsors that are here with us today. 1 in 3 seniors will die of Alzheimer's or dementia. Approximately 400,000 Texans has Alzheimer's. Texas ranks 4th in the number of Alzheimer's cases and 2nd in Alzheimer's death. Alzheimer's disease is the 5th leading cause of death in the U.S. And in the U.S., someone develops Alzheimer's every 65 seconds. So that takes just closing your eyes and blinking 3 times, and someone is developing Alzheimer's. I want to let you know we did have our walk already, October 8th at the Victoria College. It was a great day. We had a lot of community and family and friends out there. We're so close to our goal. We want to make it. In Region 7, nobody has made their goal. And Victoria, hopefully, God willing, will be the first one to make our goal. So we are actually right now $2,800 away. So if you are so kind to donate, you can scan the QR code. If you make a $100 donation, please email me back and I can mail you your walk t-shirt. In November, it is Caregiver Awareness Month, and so we asked maybe the city can wear their Alzheimer's purple shirts on Fridays to let the community know that you're here to help and support them for those battling Alzheimer's and dementia. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you.
Item B2B is the Municipal Court Week Proclamation. Whereas municipal courts play a significant role in preserving public safety and promoting quality of life in Texas, whereas more people come in contact with municipal courts than all other Texas courts combined, and public impression of the Texas judicial system is largely dependent upon the public's experience in municipal courts, whereas the City of Victoria hosts the municipal court, whereas the state law authorizes a municipality to either appoint or elect a municipal judge for a term of office. The City of Victoria Municipal Court is a state court, and its judges are members of the state judiciary. Whereas the procedures for the City of Victoria Municipal Court operations are set forth in the Texas Code of Criminal Procedures and other laws of the state of Texas. Whereas the City of Victoria is committed to the notion that our legal system is based on the principle that an independent, fair, and competent judiciary will interpret and apply the laws that govern us, and that judges and court personnel should comply with the law and act in a manner that promotes public confidence in the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. Whereas Victoria municipal judges are not policymakers for the City of Victoria, but are bound by the law and the canons of judicial conduct and are required to make decisions independent of the governing body of the City of Victoria, city officials, and employees. Whereas the City Council recognizes the Constitution and laws of the state of Texas contain procedural safeguards in criminal cases for all defendants, including indigent defendants, and supports the City of Victoria Municipal Court in complying with such legal requirements. Now, therefore, I, Jeff Bauknight, Mayor of the City of Victoria, Texas, do hereby proclaim the week of November 7th through November 11th, 2022 as Municipal Court Week in recognition of the fair and impartial justice offered by to our citizens by the Municipal Court of Victoria.
And then we're going to have the November 2022 Keep Victoria Beautiful Business Beautification Award. Ms. Christy Euchre.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We are here to present our November award, but I also wanted to let you know about 2 upcoming events that Keep Victoria Beautiful is hosting along with the city. The first one is our Silver City cleanup. This will be the north part of Silver City, and this is the ones where we go into the neighborhood and help residents move large items to the street for pickup from our solid waste team. And we let them know beforehand, and as we speak, our knuckle booms go through a few weeks before and pick up some items. And then on November 12th, the volunteers come out. Some of you have been to these events already, and we help residents and teams move some larger items that they might need help with. The fire department will also be installing smoke detectors. Our Parks and Recreation Department will be there with activities. Municipal Court will also be there, in library. And we're going to be based out of the Greater Mount Calvary Baptist Church at Odom and Callis. And they have been wonderful in getting the word out to the residents in that northern part of Silver City. So November 12th, and we're going to clean up from 9 to 11, and then we have hot dogs afterwards. So please join us and let me know if you're going to be there so we can plan. The next event that we have, this is our first annual volunteer appreciation event. We haven't done this before, and we're very excited to do this because we have incredible volunteers. November 17th, it'll be at the Community Center Annex, starting at 6 o'clock. You should have all received an invitation as well. We'll also have our Keep Texas Beautiful Executive Director come to this event and say a few words, and we're very excited about that. So those are our two big events. We hope you can join us. We've come a long way in Victoria the last couple of years, and we have a lot to celebrate. So I will now let Meredith Bird, our chairperson for Keep Victoria Beautiful, introduce our November winner.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening, I am thrilled to announce our November Business Beautification Award winner is the Quality Inn and Suites on the Houston Highway. This is a jewel of a property located on Business 59 near Zachlins, near one of the major entrances to our city. The grass and the landscaping are always very nicely maintained. The hotel itself is in wonderful condition. The entrance is inviting and attractive. There's never any litter flying around. This is exactly what we want people to see as they enter Victoria, particularly if this is going to be their first impression of our city. And so Mr. and Mrs. Patel truly care, and their dedication shows in how well this property is kept. And so tonight, on behalf of Keep Victoria Beautiful, we'd like to present the Business Beautification Award to Mr. J. and D. Patel of the Quality Inn and Suites.
You're welcome to say a few words as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jay. I'm the manager of the Quality and Suites Victoria East. We would like to say thank you, and we appreciate your recognition given to us today. We are happy to be part of community and do part of this community and do our part in keeping Victoria beautiful. Thank you once again, the City of Victoria, for this award. Truly honored. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all very much for showing pride in y'all's property and making Victoria a more beautiful place to live. Mr. Garza, do you have anything else for public and employee recognitions?
No, sir.
Okay. Items from council. Does anybody have anything? Nope.
Well, you know what, actually, I will segue on this, as we talked about the entrance, as Ms. Bird just talked about the entrance coming in. Some things we've dealt with in the past is we enter into Victoria alongside on Business 59 towards, it's still within the city limits. We still have a problem with some railroad ties that sit there alongside. And I think that they're far enough off the railroad track. And just seeing if we could do anything to remove that as it's an eyesore coming into the city.
Yes, we've looked into it and continued to.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything?
I
Okay.
want to say
Oh,
that
yes.
we've gotten a lot of good comments from this weekend with Dia de los Muertos. A lot of the kids, they had a lot of fun, and parents and community members are saying it was such a good thing that the city put out. Appreciate it.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Solis. We're going to citizens communication now. Remember, you have 3 minutes to speak, and we'll start with Harley Fisk.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. All right. There was a recent hate-filled blog post in the Victoria Advocate about a book called Irreversible Damage. Intersex is an umbrella term used to describe people born with sex traits that do not fit binary medical definitions of male or female sexual or reproductive anatomy. This book endorses the contentious concept of rapid onset gender dysphoria, also known as ROGD. This concept is not recognized as a medical diagnosis by any major professional institution and is not backed by credible scientific evidence. The author claims that groups of teenage girls get together to change their sex in much the same ways as getting together to suffer from eating disorders. This book's publisher is well known for their books which are incorrect politically, scientifically, logically, legally, academically, and morally. The book Irreversible Damage is considered anti-trans and has been widely criticized for using anecdotes from parents without comparable conversations with the affected youth, as well as for misreading scientific evidence. I do not pretend to be an expert on gender issues. Even a quick review of scientific reports tells me that intersex babies, which used to be called hermaphrodites, are almost as common as twins, which is around 1 in 1,500 to 2,000 births. There is no evidence that these births occur only in liberal families. The medical community generally advises that surgical interventions not be considered until after puberty. Intersex people need to be given extensive psychological, emotional, and spiritual counseling before any surgical procedures are considered. I refer to this article as hate-filled for several reasons. It assumes that intersex people do not exist. It implies that the whole issue is part of some liberal plot. It is not. These are real people with real issues. It fails to consider the support that needs to be given to all those who may need it. There are real people who do not need to be stigmatized and discriminated against. Perhaps my greatest concern is that there are no solutions were advanced. Nothing was said about accepting people as they are. No suggestions as to how to improve their physical, emotional, or financial well-being. I guess if they don't exist, and we don't acknowledge their existence, that we don't have to do anything. In these days and times, we need to work against hatred and bigotry. We know that hate does not solve problems. Only love can do that. As a society, we should and we must do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisk. Mr. Stan Rinke.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for allowing me to address you this afternoon. My name is Stan Rickey, and I'm a citizen of Victoria County. First of all, I want to thank all of you for your recent courageous decision appointing new conservative members to the Victoria Public Library Advisory Board. Many of us know that you were under quite some pressure to support status quo and to leave the library board alone. We're grateful for the decisions that you made recently. Secondly, I want you to know that that game is over. You and the citizens of Victoria County won that first game, but we begin a new game now. Just as we begin a new game tonight in the World Series, where the scores are tied at a game count is tied to 1-1. I suspect that the battle to win the series will be challenging, just as we will be challenged as we try to protect the hearts and the attitudes of the children of this community. On one side is a group that believes it's okay to provide obscene and sexually explicit literature to innocent and impressionable children. The other side believes that it's morally wrong to do that. I strongly encourage you to support your new library board and to hold them accountable to accomplish that which you've appointed them to do. In keeping with that thought, I'd like to remind you that the citizens of the city of Victoria and Victoria County in general are still concerned about this issue. And to further emphasize that, I've got a list, Mr. Mayor, of names here that have signed the agenda, which I'd like to present to the council at this time.
Officer.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate your help and what you do here in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rinke. And then we have our last one, Mr. Michael Von der Rohe.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Just wanted to thank the first responders, for what they do in Victoria and the trailer park. Last Saturday, an ambulance came and it looked like it was about to bottom out. It's like a big old swamp in the middle of the trailer park, and the trailer park owner, he hasn't taken care of it, and it's a danger to the first responders, to the fire department, the police department. Last year, there was a plumbing leak, and instead of filling the hole with gravel, they put dirt, and then the city of Victoria garbage truck came and got stuck, and they had to call Allen's Wrecker to get it out. I hope Jesus don't blame the driver for it. It wasn't his fault. They wouldn't know warning signs or anything, but instead of putting asphalt, he just put gravel, and all that gravel has washed out, and it's a danger to cars and stuff. I already going to have to get a lineman and 2 new tires and stuff because of that, and probably all the first responders, their vehicles probably going to need alignments and stuff. And also people are trashing out these donation bins, and want to thank Rick Madrid for getting rid of the 3 of these storage bins because they were throwing mattresses and a whole bunch of trash all over the place. 2 at convenience stores and 1 at the University of Houston at Victoria at the old Town Plaza Mall. And it just keeps on getting worse. And they do it like at noon. I got someone's license plate and I gave it to Rick Madrid and he took care of it, but I do wish people could stop dumping all their trash at storage bins, and hopefully the police will catch them and arrest them and stuff. This is a Class B misdemeanor, not like a Class C. It's not like they're throwing 1 piece of trash. And I think people are fixing to go to the dump to throw trash, and they go, "Oh, there's a donation bin. Just throw it there." Who's going to care? The community takes pride in how keep Victoria beautiful, but some, convenience store people, they could care less how their store looks, and it looks like it's going up to Mount Everest. There's so much trash and mattresses, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And, I wish, they could maybe charge a certain amount per month to have these donation bins, because, okay, I got 1 second. Please just donate all your stuff to Goodwill, and stuff, and do something for the community. Thank you, bye, appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, that's it for citizens' communication. We have no items tonight for public hearing, and we'll go into the consent agenda.
Item D1 is the adoption of minutes of the regular meeting on October 18th, 2022. Item D2 is a resolution approving an interlocal agreement with Texas Department of Public Safety for use of the City of Victoria's public safety radio system. And item D3 is a resolution approving a 5-year mowing equipment lease to purchase agreement for Riverside Golf Course with Professional Turf Products in the amount of $363,981.47 and Deere and Company in the amount of $59,203.83.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda is read. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item E1.
Item E1 is a resolution approving 2 separate agreements with AEP for Phase 2 of the LED light conversion project in the amount of $282,337.28.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you are aware, we are partnering with AEP Texas to replace 4,050 high-pressure sodium lights with new LED lights throughout the city. So in Victoria, we have 2 types of HPS lights. We have the Cobra heads and also the post-top lights. So the post-stop lights are prevalent in Cimarron, Colony Creek, and other older neighborhoods. So the goal of this LED conversion program, as you know, is to improve public safety, prevent crime, conserve energy, promote economic and community development, and enhance livability, improve quality of life. So the LED conversion project is a CIP project, and it is being implemented in phases. So phase one began in FY '22, and the target was the south side. So the scope was to replace 2002 HPS lights with LED lights on the south side. That's from Airline all the way to US 59. So the map shows you the lights that have been installed, the LED lights. So if you drive through the south side now, you can see some bright, beautiful lights. And I've gotten positive feedback from the residents. Now, the total cost for that was about $275,000, and that was from VSTDC or sales tax and CDBG funds. So the charge comes to about $137 per light. And again, any citizen can report a street light out by going into the AEP Texas website and just report that a light is out, and they will respond within 24 hours. So now that we have finished phase one, we are here today asking you to approve phase two. So the scope for phase two is to install 2,048 LED light fixtures on the north side. We finished the south side, now the north side, and that's from Airline to the northern city limits. So the total budget for that is $282,000, and the funding is from the sales tax. Again, this is a CIP project. So AEP asked us to separate the agreements, well, into two separate agreements. So the first agreement is for the Cobra Head HPS lights or high-pressure sodium lights, and the second agreement is for the post-stop lights. So AEP's timeline is to start replacing or installing the LED lights in February 2023. They need some lead time to order and purchase the light fixtures and so forth. So they will start the phase two February 2023 and complete July 2023. So this map shows you all of the lights that will be replaced once the project is done. Again, 4,050 LED lights throughout the city. So the next or the subsequent phases include phase three. So we will conduct a photometric study. That's to identify the low-lit areas or neighborhoods where new LED lights would be beneficial. So we will essentially identify where do we still have dark spots? Where do we still have dark neighborhoods? So we can go ahead and install lights or lighting there.
What if the neighborhood doesn't want them?
Well, that would be a feedback
I mean, we're
to
going to
us.
contact those neighborhoods that don't have them? Like my street was purposely built without any lights.
Okay.
They can't replace anything then.
No, but
Sure.
that's the phase five is going to install additional lighting
Right.
based on this photometric study. But I'm saying, what if the neighborhood doesn't want it?
Well, if you know of a neighborhood that doesn't, just let us know and we'll definitely.
But we're not going to poll before?
At this point.
We can, obviously, that's still a few years away.
Right.
So we have time to game plan, and obviously there are some neighborhoods that are structured with HOAs or other type of organized meetings that would make it a little bit easier to bring the topic up. But we can certainly, in that time frame, come up with an efficient way to kind of get information out. Maybe we do public meetings by quadrant of the community, or by neighborhood, or however we want to do it, to try and have that conversation with them.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, though, it's not uncommon for cities to sort of make those holistic security, type of decisions, about, well, we think it's in the best, interest of the whole community to have a light every 300 feet. I'm going to make something up, and so then where we identify gaps, we go in and do it, right? Because of the safety aspect of it. But there might be some neighborhoods that, intentionally want to be in the dark. And then we would have to make a decision on whether we want to do that or not. The reverse is true too, right? Where we have neighborhoods that don't have any lights at all, that want lights, that we need to meet with them to have that conversation about what does that look like? Because that infrastructure is not even there to begin with.
Yeah, because I think we're deed restricted on doing it, so.
Okay. So Jesus is correct. We do have plenty of time. You can see Phase 5 is down until FY '26. So we have plenty of time to converse with the neighborhoods and get feedback. But, so again, council, we are recommending approval of Phase 2, which is the agreement with, or agreements with AEP to install LED lights on the north side of the city.
Hey, Mike, a couple of those neighborhoods up there that don't have any blue dots, do they already have lights there, LED, or is there a certain reason why a couple of those neighborhoods are excluded?
So could be two reasons. One is that they just don't have any lights.
Okay.
So that's primarily the main reason. There isn't any lights there. But the photometric study will tell us where we need lights. It will tell us where the dark spots are.
Like that shows Terra Vista doesn't have any? Or they were already LEDs?
Don't get me started with that one.
But the second reason too is.
There are lights there, but they can be better. And they would probably won't even show up in a photometric study.
True. And the second reason too is that some of these neighborhoods are served by the Victoria Electric Company, co-op. So like your newer subdivisions up north.
Which that's the case in Terra Vista.
In Terra Vista. So these are only AEP lights.
I'm not sure it's accurate to call it an unintended consequence, but as we lighten up many parts of town, I would think that the places that are not lit then are going to, I won't call them magnets for crime, but that would be a safer place to commit a crime because there wouldn't be as much light. And so as we lighten up the rest of the city, I would think and encourage those communities or those parts of the city to think about continuing to be in the dark. It's one of the benefits of being in the city is that you do get lighting.
Yes, and we worked with the police department as we developed the strategy, and Chief Arredondo is very supportive of this initiative because it again prevents crime when you have better lighting.
I laugh at your choice of words. A safer place to commit a crime.
Exactly. With consequences that are intended.
Mike, can you do me a favor and go back to the first slide that shows Phase 2? Is that it right there?
That's Phase 1.
That's Phase 1.
Okay, no, Phase 2. The very first line where you have the blue lines and you have nothing to the left on my side, is that the empty area, is that the university? Is that Red River right there?
I
don't know where you're.
I'm not
I don't
sure.
think it's airline, I think it's Red
Is it
River. Right
this
there,
or-
right there. What's that right there? Is that the hospital or is that?
I think that's the hospital. Is that?
That's
UHB or the
That's
hospital?
UHB and
That's
Victoria
what-
College.
Victoria College and University.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so that's Red River.
Not airline. Airline's up there.
Okay, so it starts at part of airline, but you do go back into Red River?
Yes.
Those two blocks?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, because I live there, that's why. That's why I was looking, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, that's fine.
All right,
Okay, we just need approval.
okay, you're done?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Etienne,
I move that we adopt E1.
I second.
got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item E2.
Item E2 is a resolution approving a professional services agreement with Freeze and Nichols Incorporated for design services and construction administration for the proposed De Leon Plaza expansion in an amount of $483,000.
All right, good evening, Mayor, members of council. Tonight, what I have for you is a professional services agreement with Freeze and Nichols to provide the remainder of the design scope and construction administration of the De Leon Plaza expansion. And what I have here is a presentation to kind of go over a little bit of background for those who may not have tuned into the workshop or might not know about De Leon Plaza expansion. I'm going to talk a little bit about where we've been, what we've accomplished thus far, and where we're headed. So, as you recall, Downtown Master Plan was adopted in October of 2021. The De Leon Plaza expansion was identified as a catalytic project, including a public restroom facility, which was a very highly requested item in the survey that we did for the community. As part of that master plan, it recommended that this project begin or start the design phases in the years between 1 and 3 after implementation of the master plan. And thus far, we have presented to you all preliminary design scope of 30% of the probable costs for completion. So in the attachment for the professional services agreement, it kind of breaks it down in 2 sections. You have the basic services, which would include project management, final design, bid phase assistance, and construction phase assistance, that being a total of $374,000. They also include a second section of special services, which are listed as miscellaneous services, traffic signal modification, cultural resources investigation, cultural resources survey, TDLR submission or accessibility review, and 2 additional city council presentations to keep you up to speed on where we're at along the project as it goes along. Those 2 combined make it a total agreement of $483,000, which is proposed by Freeze and Nichols. So as you may recall, in the last design that we presented on the workshop, this is what we had. We had permanent closure of Forest Street with a performance pavilion, an extension of the lawn for additional seating, a water feature, public restroom, and what we've dubbed a founder circle on the north, that would be northeast corner of the plaza for the Martine de Leon and Patricia de Leon statues.
Go ahead.
We have made some changes because we have been given some feedback on this design. In the next slide, I'm going to touch on those and what we have changed. And then after that, I will show you what the new design looks like with those changes in it.
Just real quick, Danielle, that slide, go back to it. This, as you can tell, removes sidewalks. So this removes 3 sidewalks from that side of the square. And that'll make more sense right now when Danielle walks you through some of the changes as well.
So based off of this design, these were the recommended changes. To add back in those sidewalks, as Jesus just mentioned, the northeast and the northwest, including those benches. The northeast sidewalk would also be rerouted to maintain accessibility to the monument. The water feature size has been decreased with added seat walls on 2 sides, eliminating the bollards. It also removes the expanded lawn and brings it back to its original turf line so that it keeps it true to what the original design of De Leon Plaza was intended to be when it was first established. So it keeps it the true square feel. And then what that did is when we brought back the turf line, it increased that allowable footprint between the stage and the grass to 30 feet, which is about what we get now when we park the stage for a street dance. We have that 30-foot space between the grass line and the front of the stage for people to sit, dance, enjoy the entertainment. So this is the new design, and we created it with the overlap of what's existing, so it really gives you a better picture of what we're proposing. You can see the 2 sidewalks, as mentioned before, leading towards the public restroom side and towards the monument. Before, there was a sort of sidewalk coming off of Main Street that was for accessibility to get to the monument, but now this sidewalk, adding it back in, can still accomplish that by adding accessibility from the back side of the monument. You can see the 2 seat walls on the water feature And there are two grade areas on the kind of like north side and south side that will still leave for two entrances on either side. And what's kind of neat about that is not only can we use this for just water feature and seating with bistro tables and umbrellas, but with that little wall, we could put up, I don't know, a velvet rope and make it like a VIP seating area too if the event coordinator wanted to have that space for their concert, if you will. But then also it will still be large enough for the Christmas tree to sit on top of the water feature. As you can tell, it decreases size, which mirrors the founder circle. And let's see what else. Sidewalks, did I cover everything? I think so. We're keeping all of the original size of the stage and as proposed in the last one, which is about 60 feet across, 40 feet deep, which is still bigger than what we've put out there to accommodate larger performances and still have space for smaller ones.
Danielle, I'll only add that for Boot Fest as an example, we would position the stage on top of private property. And so I know that some folks visualize having almost the whole street width in front of the stage when we set it up for Boot Fest, but that's because the stage is actually laying on top of the One O'Connor property and that sidewalk. But obviously building a permanent stage, we can't do that. We actually explored the idea of pushing the stage further into that sidewalk on that end, but we realized that there's electrical utilities that run under that back sidewalk, which would make it almost impossible to put the foundation for the stage on top of it. But that is something that we might be able to investigate a little further. But by putting the grass back to its original footprint gives us that 30 feet, as Danielle mentioned, and we think that's enough space for those dance parties.
I have two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
The height of the grass, not the growing grass, but the height of the dirt with the grass, is it brought down to street level or is it still elevated?
So technically, you're going to have the street come up to the turf line because it's so bowed for drainage now. So you're going to see kind of where the Star V logo is on this design, that side of the street is going to come up to meet the level of the grass.
Okay.
So that it is an even plane as you traverse across it.
The steps aren't needed and things like that as a result.
Correct.
It brings it in.
All the sidewalks are going to be improved so that there are no steps,
Right.
so that wheelchair accessibility and strollers can make it into the square.
One way to think about it is to take the two existing sidewalks that are on either side, and right now there's a crown street in between, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all that's going to be leveled
Okay.
to be smooth across.
Okay, I have another question, and I'm not sure how I'm going to phrase this one, but it's dealing with the sidewalks, and I can see that you've got gray, which I'm thinking means a new sidewalk or improved sidewalk. But underneath it, I also see some white sidewalk, which is the existing sidewalk that I'm assuming by my interpretation is not going to still be there. And so that leads me to the question around the gazebo, because these gray sidewalks just kind of go to nowhere unless we're keeping the white sidewalk around the gazebo. Is that?
We are keeping the sidewalk around the bandstand, yes.
Yes.
Okay,
That sidewalk that leads from the bandstand to the stage or to the logo, that's coming out.
okay.
And so that area will focus on being just a green area.
And I know that this is trying to do an overlay, and so I couldn't really tell. Okay, thank you.
So you are going to be able to move the electrical box from there?
Yes.
Okay.
Why is that sidewalk being removed from the bandstand, from the center of the street to the bandstand? I don't understand that.
The idea or the vision was to allow for more seating in that area
On the grass.
on the grass.
How are people going to walk from the stage back to the bandstand? They're going to have to go around the water fountain and around the monument?
So people can walk on the grass, right? So what we're envisioning is a green area that is activated, right? meaning people are going to picnic out there, people are going to run around, right? This is going to be a green space that hopefully gets activated and gets used. So that's why even the sidewalks going diagonally were recommended to be removed, to kind of focus on having a space that's a little bit bigger to allow for more of that outdoor activity on that green space. So that was the vision, right? We envisioned there being, large festivals, obviously, but also smaller, intimate, where, people might want to actually set out a blanket and lay out, right? And so that was the vision sort of around this, is just to have that green space in front of the stage.
I have one other thing I'd like to add. Right there in the middle of the sidewalk, that gray square is a hazard. What it is a very large piece of diamond plate steel that covers up a water line. And so, we would like to cover that up as well, because it doesn't make that sidewalk very safe. So that would also aid in
Done
that.
without taking up the whole sidewalk. That's something minor. But the destruction of the sidewalks just adds a bunch of cost. And also it deteriorates the history of the De Leon Plaza. It destroys the De Leon Plaza. There's no reason for taking out all those sidewalks and benches just to put a green pasture there. There's just no reason. It's just
Doesn't that
added
sidewalk have
cost.
the steps?
But it's good, they're gonna make everything be level,
It's gonna be
street level,
level. It's
so
coming
that it
up.
doesn't need the steps. I don't have a problem with removing that sidewalk. I like adding the others, but I understand the vision of just having a big open area. Because when I'm there now for a concert, frankly, that sidewalk takes up usable space because you have to be on either side of it.
Separates, yeah.
What if it was like pavers that let the grass grow between it? You wouldn't see it as a sidewalk, but it could be used as a sidewalk.
I don't have
So
I don't have a problem with taking it out.
Can you read, also, can you re-explain the water fountain, the water feature?
I actually have a slide that's just on the water feature if we want to move forward to that. I believe it's
Okay.
the next slide.
Before you go to the next slide, you have something that looks like umbrellas up there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are those going to be temporary, permanent?
Those are trees.
Oh, those are trees?
Yes.
Okay, so where are you going to park your food trucks? Are they not going to be allowed in this area?
Yeah.
There is another image that I can show y'all again from the workshop that shows where the food trucks will be parked, and that they have, to scale on a site map, made sure that it would allow for a large food truck to park in that space. But when you're referring to bistro tables and stuff, that's actually these little small circles here that fit in this space. But we haven't made a decision yet or not whether or not they will be affixed to the concrete or movable.
Right. And the food trucks, in essence, go where they go now. And you'll see an image that shows them kind of driven up to the sides of the stage.
So this is the final design? This is
No.
the final design that we're voting on tonight?
No. So
No.
to be clear, we are voting on the design contract so that the architect can work on getting us to a final design. We envision that final design taking 3 months, 3 or 4 months. Can you go back to the scope? So under others, they have a lump sum at the very bottom for city council presentation. We envision and they envision, having another opportunity to share with you the progress of the design, so that we can continue to solicit input. So no, you're not voting on a final design details tonight. We're voting on the contract to work with the designer to get to that point.
But wasn't there in this, in the agenda, wasn't there a price tag of $4 million and .8 something?
So we're not voting on the construction of the project. Whenever you design any project, whether that's parks or a building or a road, you obviously have to get a sense of the scope of the project in order to calculate fees and other things. So we obviously did go through the exercise of getting up to the 30% design, which is what was presented at the workshop, which did in fact, show a potential price tag. That potential price tag was close to $6 million all inclusive, And what I mean by all-inclusive is that it included construction cost, it included design cost, and a couple of other elements. Since then, we've worked closely to get that under 5 million. We believe that there are things that can be reduced or cut in order to trim the cost down of that. So as an example, by reducing the size of the water feature by 10 feet, we'll cut a third of the cost. So that cost estimate expectation was $600,000. And what she's about to show you is an example of a water feature that we think we can get for roughly 400. So that's an idea of a cost reduction. So we are continuing to work to get to that final stage. But that's why we go through the scope. That's why we go through that exercise.
I'd like to make myself clear. I am very for this project, and especially the way it was first presented to us, that the street's going to be closed and designed this way. And y'all have done good with the street part. I just don't agree with the destruction of a historical layout, the De Leon Plaza. There's no reason to pull up all those sidewalks. There's no reason at all. And replace them. You know, you're gonna replace a 30-yard sidewalk just because you have one area that needs to be closed up. Well, we're adding more cost to this, and it's destroying a historical feature that's very near and dear to me and my family and citizens of Victoria. Just my opinion. The sidewalk?
People,
all y'all can.
That one sidewalk?
The sidewalk?
The other ones are gonna be rebuilt in the same place they were.
Right.
But make them ADA compliant. You don't want those rebuilt?
The ones that go like this?
Yes, they can be rebuilt. But what I'm saying,
You go back up, Ms. Williams.
they don't really need to be,
These
the
grade
ones.
These
They're
gray
gonna
ones right
be-
here, they're just gonna redo them.
There's only steps on the one to the right that goes to Main and the one to the left that goes to Bridge. There's not any steps on the one over here. I understand that the end of it has to be a redesign because of the water feature and the restrooms. But I just don't understand why the one to the flags has to be taken out also. We have historical benches, I just think it's destroying some history in Victoria.
Just to expand on
Personal opinion.
Just to clarify on the one going to the monument is that it's currently not ADA accessible, really. So part of the reason why we have to tear that sidewalk out and reroute it is to actually make it ADA accessible. So
The gazebo's ADA,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
So every sidewalk that leads into the gazebo has to be ADA compliant? Every single sidewalk?
So currently they are not, right? So currently the only sidewalk that leads to the bandstand that is the one that actually heads towards the bathroom building. So all others, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all the other remaining 5 are not ADA accessible. You have to get up a step. That's the only reason why we included redoing the sidewalks that go to Bridge Street and go to Main Street, because we want to make those ADA accessible.
And I understand that.
We are not touching the one that goes to the other side. And that one will remain not accessible, unless we, of course, add it to the scope. And so with this, we'll go from having one accessible path to the bandstand to having 4.
And I hate to add cost to it, but isn't it gonna be odd if we improve the north side of the square and don't touch the sidewalks on the south side? It's not gonna look very cohesive.
Right, that's a great point. We have made that same observation, and there could be an opportunity once we get further along in the design and things get costed out to potentially add that. I mean, it's a visual thing, right? To see, new concrete, old concrete, et cetera.
Right.
So we have thought about, okay, well, we're gonna have a mix of, paths leading to the bandstand that are old concrete and then paths that are new. But our thought was if we focus the new on, I guess, the half of the plaza that is on the Forest Street side, then it becomes obviously clear that our focus area was that side of the plaza. And we were obviously trying to not, expand too much, the scope and
So the scope is
redoing too many things.
Is to design the whole, redesign the whole De Leon Plaza and the street. So That's what we're going. Instead of just setting up a bandstand and redesigning the street, now we're going to redesign the whole De Leon Plaza completely. Add a couple of more million to it.
No. We're not redesigning the whole square by replacing some sidewalks. That's not $2 million.
But that wasn't the original plan.
I think the
The
original.
original plan actually had a bathroom building behind the Six Flag Monument. And so if we would have gone with that plan, I'm curious what your opinion would have been about adding that bathroom building behind the Six Flag Monument. If we're gonna go back to that original
That's not
thing.
what I'm saying. I just made a statement that now the scope of this is broadened and the price tag has tripled. I just don't understand that.
I don't think that price tag's tripled because of redoing these sidewalks to make them ADA compliant.
And putting in a fountain, that wasn't originally there.
That was originally there.
I guess what I'm thinking original is what's in the downtown plan. And it had a lot of this. I'm not sure I studied where the sidewalks were, but.
Right, and what was presented in the downtown master plan was very, very conceptual. It was just, this is an idea, and this is definitely more into the weeds of what, once we solicited more feedback from even the event coordinators of what they wanted to see for that space to be activated.
If we're gonna come back and we're gonna have another opportunity to give our opinion on the design, that's fine. I want to thank you for all the work that you've put into it. It's a lot of work.
But Mr. De La Garza, the forest part, you're okay with?
110% okay.
Okay.
I'm the one that's been objecting to that.
I know. And I just wanted to make sure I know where everyone was of all of it, so.
Well, I only asked Jesus to find me 42 parking spaces.
Yeah, that's right.
And I will vote for
Yeah.
it, so that's my condition. And he promised me he would, so.
Yeah,
that's
40,
it.
I promise you 43.
Oh, okay.
But
You
we're
heard him.
only voting on the conceptual design.
Yes, just on the design right now. Are
And
we gonna
to
have
be,
colors?
and we probably missed this point. I think it's an important point to make. I know we made it at the workshop a little bit, and I know we've talked about it, but for the benefit of those, tuning in, it's important to note that a big driving force, behind, bringing this to you tonight is, of course, the timeline.
Right.
We want this improvement, regardless of whether it includes this sidewalk or not that sidewalk or whatever. We want to make sure that this project is completed in time for our bicentennial celebration, which that big event would be in April of 2024. And so if we work our way backwards from that, we know that the construction of this might take about a year, which means that we only have a few months from now until the spring to design it, get it to construction document stage, bid it out, et cetera. And so we are trying to do a lot of things in parallel, right? We're trying to get your support, we're trying to get input, while at the same time, getting this thing designed so we can get it completed in time.
And I appreciate that. I'm just concerned with the taxpayers' money. That's it.
So.
Got a little
if-
motion for us?
Well, if you have a few more minutes on this topic, I think y'all will enjoy watching an example of what the water feature could look like. And this is either gonna go really good, you're gonna get really excited, or really bad, and you're gonna be like, we don't want that anymore. But at least you'll get to see it.
Just at the Bellagio?
Yeah, that's right.
You gonna have the papalote there too? I mean, you've got it almost, I'm just asking.
A windmill there.
The last pieces are gonna be tiring.
So you can see that it can be programmed to run different shows. It does have some lights element to it, as you can see in that picture above.
Is the windmill providing the energy?
No.
Yeah, it's energy efficient, right? One of the questions that was asked during one of our one-on-one meetings was about maintenance costs, and we know that, when we compare it to even though this isn't a splash pad, but the mechanics around how a circulating system works very similar to a splash pad. We know that annual maintenance cost is roughly $10,000 when you take into account the filters and the chemicals and things of that sort. So I wanted to make sure to convey that back to you, since some of you did have that question. But this gives you a sense. This specific one was $314,000 several years ago. So it would be something similar to this that we would get for roughly $400,000, just to give you a sense of what that looks like. And we could operate, operational decisions, hours, et cetera.
Yeah.
That can happen after the fact.
So where was the Christmas tree going to be placed at that water feature?
It currently is proposed to be placed on top of the water feature.
So during Christmas, the water would be off, correct?
Yes.
No, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No, we're going to wash the Christmas tree.
Well,
You need to water it.
And are those new walls going to impede the view of the Christmas tree?
No, we are adding a 4-foot pedestal to the bottom of the tree this year so that it can better present the sponsors of the tree. And so it won't.
Okay. Get more presence under it.
I'm just going to skim through these slides just so that everybody knows. This is the proposed design of the public restroom so that it does look similar to some of the other architecture within the area, so it blends in. Here's a different look at the stage from the side, from the front. Another look at the founder's corner, if you will, with the food trucks, as mentioned before. This is to scale.
The stage.
Oh.
Over here.
The stage, to me, in this view, doesn't match even the bathroom building. One's more traditional, and this one's a lot more modern. And I think that might want to, if we can get a stage that blends in better with downtown, I think it would look
And a
more
stage
appropriate.
that's going to protect.
I like the stage, but I don't know if I like it for that location.
And the stage that's going to protect the people from the rain, the entertainers from rain. I mean,
And their equipment, because
And
if
their
it starts
equipment.
raining, they got to run and get all their equipment off stage.
Okay, I made a note of that.
Go
thank you,
back to the
Daniel.
bathroom.
You want to go back to the bathroom? I have other views of this restroom. This is the only one that I've provided today.
It threw me when you said that it blends in with design of buildings downtown, and I'm trying to expand my thought process of.
I'm thinking 1 O'Connor is what,
Well, it was difficult.
not 1 O'Connor, but Proctor, O'Connor
Yeah,
Proctor.
the Proctor Building.
Right.
That's kind of where I think this
Yeah.
architecture was coming
You
from.
have two different styles, roughly. You have stuff that was put up in the 80s and stuff that goes back to the historical original style. And so it was tough for them to kind of come up with, and then some with the courthouse, the new annex across the way,
Funny thing
was
would look
kind of
like
hard. So to me, when we first saw this, we actually thought of the old fire station that's behind
Yeah.
the county. But then you have just the archways, but then the bricks kind of tied in with the annex bricks and O'Connor Plaza and things like that. That's kind of how they try to bring it all together.
The O'Connor Plaza has arches on their windows?
No, the arches are from what I saw when I saw this, are from the archways and the doors to the old fire station behind the county.
Well, you don't want it to look like a fire station.
No.
So change that, please.
we might. You never know.
Sorry, chief.
About how.
It does look like the fire station, I'm sorry, okay?
Okay.
Change that.
That's where everybody
sign.
goes to go to the bathroom. though.
Yeah.
How big are these, like approximately how many stalls or?
Let me go back.
I think it's four.
Right,
Okay.
there's 4
Yeah,
on the
there's-
women's and it looks like 2 on the men's.
We won't hold you to that.
Well, it's
but
four, but on the men's, it'd probably be 2 urinals and 2 stalls, and then
Right.
4 stalls on the women's.
Yeah.
Okay, we can move on.
With diaper changing stations.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's the process going forward? If we okay this, then what's the next?
Great
procedure?
question. So as I was mentioning earlier, this is approving the design contract, so obviously execute the design contract with Friese and Nichols. So it'd be the same people that you've already met involved with this project. We've gotten to the 30% design aspect. So they'll continue, based off of feedback, working on design. That'll obviously, fine tune the cost aspect of it. As I mentioned earlier, we think the design might take 3-4 months. So I do envision coming back to you at least once or twice before then with updates. So for example, we'll probably talk about it at our workshop in December again, and show you the latest and greatest on where we are by then. And obviously in our one-on-ones, we'll continue to talk about it as well. And then come after the holidays, we'll get to the point where we really do need to finalize it, and then bid it out. If there are some major issues that, things like sidewalks, those are minor.
Minor.
They don't really change, but for example, if you want to change your mind about the water feature, that's a pretty big thing, right? So for big things like, change your mind on water feature, change your mind on restroom building, change your mind on this, those are things that we need sooner rather than later. But for things like sidewalks, color of brick, things like that, those can be finalized as we go through the process over the course of the next 3 months.
Danielle, on this picture, the stage looks like it's concave like that, and
Right.
it's got something in the middle. So is it a double-sided stage or what?
It is intended to be sort of a double stage so that if O'Connor Plaza wanted to have something on their front lawn, they could and face it out the other way.
And also apparently you can see the stage from the side as well as from straight on, at least by this design we're looking.
Right.
And, which is kind of a clever way to give view to other parts of the audience.
So go back to the picture, not this colored one, but the one that you had, go one more, right there. Oh, no, the other side.
Yeah, there. You can see
Okay,
it.
now I see the,
Are you referring to the metal screening that's in the middle
no,
of the two columns?
where it's open to the back. It looks like.
Oh, it's
you got-
open, yeah.
And then go all the way.
If your concern is you'd like to see it closed in the back, we actually had that conversation, and there are things that can be incorporated into the back to close it off. Maybe not with like a permanent structure, but they've been involved with spaces like this where the design might incorporate some hooks here and there, and you've got some special screens that you can put up,
Banners.
to close off that backside, if you wanted to.
Go to
From the
that.
past history of the downtown festivals and bashes, there's the stages, the entertainers have had all their equipment behind the stage. Is there a place for all the entertainers, speakers, power, the amplifiers, soundboards, all that? I mean, lights, controls?
Yeah.
I mean,
So as far as this design for the stage, it is intended to be large enough to have all of that. Now granted, your soundboard is typically in front of the speakers, so it's not gonna be right next to the speaker. That way you can adjust the sound as you go through the concert. But there is a loading platform off to the right that could also be used for staging other equipment. And then off to the other side, on the left of the stage, there is a accessibility ramp, an ADA ramp to access the stage from that side too.
For large festival events, there's still going to have to be, other areas that get set up for that, right?
right.
And obviously coordination with One O'Connor, and things that take place now when we have those large
Events. and
large
everything.
festivals, yeah.
In front of the stage, are those, there was portions of brick pavers, is the rest of it larger brick, or is that like stamped concrete?
No, they're large pavers.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of the planters in front of the stage. But
What is like your traditional paver look is actually what you see kind of in like a darker,
Correct, yeah, the
Black.
lighter one I was
right?
wondering about.
The lighter one that literally looks like large domino
Yep.
tiles, that's what that'll be. It'll be large.
any other opinions on the planters?
I kind of like them.
I just don't like the color of the flowers. Make some colorful.
We can
You
make
know.
sure Daryl puts some
We'll add
nice
these
ones in.
that you have in front of you right now.
Uh-huh, yeah, those are nice.
At Christmas with poinsettias all across there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Cool.
Yeah, because you have the points, the wreaths right there. That's when I figured out you got a double-sided stage.
Right.
I want to just say a compliment and a shout out to Friesen Nichols. The mayor made a comment about not having anything look like the courthouse annex, but by golly, they've tied those bathroom windows in, at least in this picture, that it really, both of them look kind of good. So I don't know that that's how it's going to end up, but they did a nice graphic for us.
It's gonna look even better in real life.
Right.
We're even gonna have those like colorful swirls. They'll be in real life too.
And the moon dust coming up from the
Yeah.
tree there.
Mayor, I'll make a
And,
motion.
and it's always gonna be a full moon.
All right, we have a
motion to approve E2.
I second it.
all right, motion and a second. Is there any further discussion tonight?
God, I hope not.
Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. E3.
Item E3 is a resolution approving 2 professional services agreements with Civil Corps LLC for design services for Wagner Way extension improvements and Lingo Lane Magruder Drive conceptual design in the amount of $175,000 and $40,000 respectively.
Good evening. Mine's not as exciting as Danielle's. I'll try to make a street exciting. As y'all know, we've talked about the Wagner Way extension and in the last council work session, and this is for the design, actual contract for this Wagner Way extension. Some of the key points of it is a land swap and acquisition of land from Texas Concrete, eliminates the Vine Street right-of-way, extends Wagner Way to Main Street for better safety and mobility. Texas Concrete would adopt a new site plan. They would reduce lane closures on Main Street and enhanced entrance and parking lot off Main Street. Overall visual and aesthetic improvements through this public-private partnership between Texas Concrete and City of Victoria, new 8-foot fence, landscaping, and we did meet with them today, and we're on board. We're just trying to move this project along, and this is a big part of it, is this extension. And that's the part between Main and Vine, and to really improve their site. I think they're on board with it, and this is just a step forward to start the design. This is the concept of it. If you'll see, the yellow is the extension from Vine to basically Main Street, the extension of Wagner. And you'll see that little yellow portion is a triangle. That's needed to install the water line. The next phase of the interconnect water line to interconnect the north zone to the other north zone is another water line that goes up through Wagner, meanders around through Lingo, and then ties into Magruder. The purple is, of course, Vine Street, which would be abandoned, and then the blue is the remainder that would be included in this land swap. The next one is Lingo Lane, and they're 2 separate contracts, but I just want to talk a little bit about Lingo Lane. This is a conceptual drawing. As you cross over the tracks from Wagner Way, and that turns into Lingo, and that is meanders around the bend, between power poles, next to buildings. It's a very tough drive. So what we're trying to do with this conceptual design is come up with some ways to, smooth that curve out, widen the road. Right now it's probably 16, 18 foot wide, at 24, a consistent roadway width, improve safety. Then we need to determine the right-of-way. What kind of right-of-way we're going to need. Is there utility adjustments? And part of this design conceptual would be give us a cost estimate of what you're looking at. And that's the portion of Lingo Lane that we're talking about, as it meanders. I call it meandering through over to Magruder. The proposal is Wagner Way design cost is $175,000. It's a complete set of plans for competitive sealed proposal. It can include the Wagner extension between Vine and Main, and that would be a concrete section. Reason being is as you're coming down that hill, we've noticed in the past, years ago when we had Red River, when you came down that hill, it always pushed and buckled. And we changed it to concrete because that asphalt gets heated up, and as cars come down, they'll ripple it. So it's easier to do a concrete section, lasts longer. Widen the section of Wagner between Vine and the railroad with an open section. Again, get that 24-foot width. It does include water and storm sewer improvements. And then the Lingo Lane conceptual design and right-of-way determination at $40,000. That's a schematic design of Lingo Lane from the railroad to Magruder, and again, right-of-way determination.
That asphalt open section fine to railroad tracks, there will be a section of concrete though in that.
Yes, they have a driveway right now that goes from their north yard to their main plant site, and yes, we would make that concrete. That's correct. One other thing I want to note is we are in the progress of, there's one section of Vine Street that's where the beams leave right now that is very good traffic speed monitoring device. We are going to work on that and improve that little short piece of section with the street department.
Thank you.
You're talking about Vine, but I thought you were closing Vine.
We will. This is a longer process, and right now that's little piece I'm talking about, it's about 20 foot wide.
Mm-hmm.
It is really, really bad, and we just need to do something with it. It's a patch basically, but it definitely will improve that rideability.
Is there going to be a sidewalk on Wagner Way?
We are planning for one, but we're not planning to put one in. The railroad is the impeding process of that sidewalk. Some later date, there may be one, but the ADA it'd be incredible getting over that track.
Exactly.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gill.
Mr. Gill, you said this wasn't exciting. I thought this was very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. See, I knew streets would get somebody's attention.
I move we accept E3.
Second?
A motion and a second to approve item E3. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. E4.
Item E4 is a resolution approving the fiscal year 2023 interlocal agreement with the Golden Crescent Regional Planning Commission to operate Victoria Public Transit in the amount of $228,855.
Good evening. So this is a routine contract, but there are a few points that I'd like to make this year. As you remember, a couple years ago, the Sales Tax Development Corporation took over, starting and paid the local match for our transit. During the budget discussions this year with the STDCD, they raised concerns about bus routes to major employers with transit, and seeing if we could tie that back to the contract. So we went and looked at this contract and how the transit bus routes are decided upon. And essentially, it all ties back to a 2006 route study. So for transit to substantially change any routes within the city, we have to undergo what's called a route study. A route study is a major planning document similar to our MTP or the Parks Plan. Not quite as big as a comprehensive plan, but it's a major undertaking. And so that is something that we are still in talks about when would be the best time for us to undergo a route study. We do think it is probably time, since the last one was done in 2006. We do need to identify a funding source for route study because it is a major plan. It's going to have a major price tag, usually in the $150,000 range. And as you know, the MPO will be heavily involved with the route study, as well as Golden Crescent Regional Planning Commission. So we'll have to have a lot of discussions about when's the best time, because the MPO is working on the active transportation plan and our travel demand model in preparation for our next MTP. So with all of that, we are not recommending proposing a route study with tied to this year's 2023 interlocal agreement for the Regional Planning Commission to run Victoria Transit, but that is definitely something that we want to continue to talk about. There is one change with this contract, which is reporting requirements that we felt would be very beneficial for Sales Tax Development Corporation or the MPO or both to regularly see all that transit is doing. So we are a little bit better educated too as we undergo that route study to see really how it's currently being utilized with the data. So you will find this contract does have some reporting requirements that we have not used in the past. And with that, I do recommend that the council approve the interlocal agreement for Regional Planning Commission to run transit for another year. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I know Michael Ada is also here if there's any questions for him.
Could MPO money pay for the study?
If we had it, yes.
If we had it.
And we did confirm in reaching out to other areas that the funding for these types of studies typically do come from city or type B or et cetera. Because ultimately it's important to note that we're in essence hiring the Regional Planning Commission to run the system in our community. And so typically it's the community that gets behind trying to make those major changes.
I move we adopt E4.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? I'm just gonna say I'm gonna vote no on this because of not going to major employers, and it takes too long to go from one side of town to the other, and I would have liked to have seen it addressed in this year instead of pushing it on, so. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. And I think that's it. We will now recess into executive session at 6:21. Ms. Hilbrick, will you please read us in?
City Council will recess into executive session at 6:21 PM. The subject matter of the executive session is Texas Government Code 551.087, Texas Government Code 551.072, and Texas Government Code 551.071.
And we will also recess for 10 minutes to let everybody clear out that needs to.